Good morning, students. As I have discussed with you earlier, today I have to give focus over a very important topic for you. That is the legacy of Gandhi in national movement. Rather, you can say we can make a statement. What could have been the nature of Indian freedom without Gandhi? That is a very marvelous question, very important question, and you may find such a question even in UPSC paper 2015. You can directly take here the specific interpretation and informations about the role of Gandhi, the legacy of Gandhi in national movement from my conversation. As I have told you earlier, initially I have tried to maintain both the languages simultaneously and to cater to the interest of the students from English and Hindi medium both. But it was creating some problem for me and you people as well. So that's why right now I will just I have adopted some another method and I will deliver a lecture separately in English and Hindi medium. My students, my topic is what could have been the nature of Indian freedom without Gandhi. But this is such a, you can say, complicated, such a ticklish question. For answering such a question, we need to give a focus over some related issues. Firstly, what specific, methods adopted by Gandhi in national movement or the specific Gandhian ideology. Better we can use the term, how did Gandhi bring innovation in national movement? So first part we have to cover it in brief. Second part is how did the Gandhian method transform national movement as a whole? And then it is from these both issues, the third issue will itself, you can say, emerge, and that is what is the legacy of Gandhian movement in Indian freedom? Actually, Gandhi is itself a subject, rather you can say a very important subject, and in some universities, for your information, the Gandhian thought has already been adopted as a separate optional, separate subject. A lot of researches are going on, but my students here, my objective is very limited to enlighten you about Gandhi from the viewpoint of competitive exam. So I'll try to be brief and precise so that this lecture can be much more meaningful for you people. As for Gandhian innovation, firstly I will discuss about a specific Gandhian thought or a specific Gandhian ideology in national movement. Actually, Gandhi brought a major innovation on this score. Earlier than Gandhi, it was Machiavellian materialism which was prevailing in politics. Machiavelli, the Italian thinker, was supposed to be a great innovator, and he was a Renaissance scholar. He composed the famous text Prince, and he tried to establish that politics is always a domain of an opportunist guy, or politics always requires some sort of machination, some sort of opportunism, and a king should not have expect some sort of loyalty from their people. Rather, in politics, whether it may be the ruler, the leader, the ruled, all are basically guided by their own self-interest. So my students, unfortunately, in modern era, politics was essentially identified with opportunism, materialism, and self-interest. It is here the significance of Gandhian movement will be clear. Gandhi redefined politics. He tried to establish that the politics divide of moral values are definitely devastating. Politics should be value based, and then he tried to link politics from the great ideology and like ahimsa and satyagraha, because he believes that politics needs some sort of sensible people who should have knowledge of the basic human values and decency. So it is a great innovation at that time. Secondly, we can take the issue like ahimsa and satyagraha. Normally, they are believed to be the methods adopted by the saint some sort of seers, not exactly the politicians. But Gandhi brought both the world, you can say, near to each other, the world of spiritualism and the world of politics. So it was having the two important implications in national movement. As the first implication, you can say, once Gandhi just introduced the new methods, so the methods became much useful from the viewpoint of mass mobilization, because this non-violent method was suited to the politics or the mass politics. Actually, in mass mobilization, if someone is going to adopt some violent method, so then it could have, you can say, invite the backlash from the side of the government, and the government was waiting for the opportunity, and the government could have adopted the repressive methods to suppress the national movement. But once you are going to adopt, you can say, non-violent method, even the government became helpless. Here you can say, basically this non-violence was such an innovative weapon invented by Gandhi, against whom the British Empire was not having any shield, not any defense, because you cannot fire, you can say, cartridges, the fire guns on the, you can say, completely the armless, the harmless people. So this was the use. Secondly, it invited the people, as it did not involve any violence and not any sort of risk. So even there was the larger participation of human. Second one thing you can say, this non-violence method was a great innovation, because earlier than Gandhi, it was never adopted in politics anywhere in the world. So neither it is useful for India, but in any other country which has to move for freedom. So it has more or less adopted this sort of method later. Second one thing, in fact, Gandhi extended the domain of politics through this non-violent method. Apart from that, we have coming to another point. What is another sort of innovation? Not simply on the issue of method, but also on the front of objective of the national movement. Gandhi has brought some sort of innovation, because now, in fact, the domain of freedom largely extended under Gandhi. Earlier, the domain of freedom was confined only to political freedom, but Gandhi extended it up to moral freedom. So it was a great innovation, you can say. And whenever he told, if you are once going to ensure the moral freedom, it is political freedom would be meaningless for you. You can very well understand here what is the specific strategy of Gandhi. Once you will be moral freedom means you have to be free from all sorts of fears. You should be free from all sorts of greed or human weaknesses. You will automatically move towards the freedom. So even this sort of freedom was very new for a colonial government. They could not, you can say, make themselves safe from this sort of freedom movement. So that is the another thing, and this moral freedom concept of moral freedom was an innovative concept. So it attracted a lot of people. The third one factor was Gandhi just tried to bring the social reforms as well as the political freedom, political movement, both at the same front. Earlier, you can say the political movement or political liberation movement was going separately, and social reforms were being carried separately. But Gandhi brought both near to each other. It was a great innovation by Gandhi. So that's why you can say in the Gandhian movement or as the part of national movement, even the social reforms became very important program. Apart from that, we have to move to other factors as well, and other sorts of innovation you can say. Earlier than Gandhi, whether it may be the moderate leaders, extremist leaders, even revolutionary leaders, but all were fighting against the, you can say, some sort of political or military power of the British, and they tried to gain the freedom through fighting against the British as a political entity. But Gandhi was the first thinker, first leader in national movement who just gave secondary position as the to political force of the British Empire and gave more weightage to the cultural identity of the British Empire. I think whosoever is interested in Gandhi, it's my suggestion, he should go through Hindu Swaraj of Gandhi so that he can very well understand Gandhian politics. Gandhi composed this text in 1909, and there Gandhi tried to make this term freedom clear, the danger of the Western Empire or the British Empire clear among the common people. He clearly mentioned there, I am not being trampled by the British, rather we are being trampled by the under the feet of the British or Western civilization. Because Western civilization has just making us morally bankrupt. So Gandhi here opposed the gross materialism of the West. So here you can say it was an innovation on the part of the Gandhi. He made first attack on the Western civilization, on the Western culture. In Hindu Swaraj, you will find there a very interesting conversation. That is in conversational style, the book has been compiled. So Gandhi has made this point clear that British should stay in India. We are not having the problem. We are having the problem against the Western culture, against the British colonial, British legacy. In that sense, actually will not go to the British institutions. You will boycott the British institutions. You will not go to the British school, colleges. You will not even, you can say, purchase the British products. And British should stay in India. So in this way, so that's why some critics believed that so far as all the leaders were making attack on the British Empire, but Gandhi has made an attack on the root of the British colonialism itself. So that is a major innovation of Gandhi. So this is the first one part. How did Gandhi bring innovations in national movement? Up you have to underline here what is the repercussion of the Gandhian movement on the nature of national movement. How did it transform the nature of national movement? You will come to know, in fact, Indian national movement became the largest mass movement in India. Largest mass movement in the world. You can very well find here the example in 1915 when Madan Mohan Malviya, he was just working behind inauguration of this Banaras Hindu University. Gandhi was invited there. Gandhi was told to give the speech. Gandhi, it is in this conference, Gandhi has made this point clear. So far as you are not going to link the lakhs of Indian villages to the politics of the Congress can never be the successful. So Gandhi just drew the attention of Indian leaders so far as you have confined yourself up to the elitist politics of India, but you have to go to the masses now. And then you can say Gandhi has here made some sort of innovation in that on that ground. He just made an appeal to all the classes simultaneously. And in Gandhian movement, all the classes got linked to the national movement. Now you can ask me the question, what is this sort of innovation? Even Mao Zedong could mobilize the people, Lenin in Russia could mobilize the people, here Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam mobilized the people, but there you will find a greater difference between the politics of Gandhi and that of these leaders. Because these leaders were the Marxist leaders. They were basically believers in the Marxist principles. So they used to mobilize the common people, but simultaneously the Jamindars, the capitalists, all were worried, fearful, scared. But in Gandhian movement, no one was scared. All just came on the same platform and they could fight together against the British. So India became a very, you can say, very innovative example of a nation which is fighting against the imperialist power as a whole. Here you will not find the sectional division in India. Although there is some critics against Gandhi and some critics try to establish that in that sense Gandhi diverted the whole national movement from the cause of socialism, and Gandhian movement favored basically the property class in India. So that is the charge against the Gandhi. But my student, I am drawing your attention to this issue. In India, the socialist movement was not so much organized. We can believe that if there could have, if in the absence of Gandhi, the socialist leaders and the socialist party might have led the movement and bring the movement to their proper destination. So I think this charge is not justified if we are just going to observe from this point of view. Apart from that, you will find in Gandhian movement the very uncommon mobilization of women, which you will find nowhere. Even you can find even in your NCERT book of class 12th, you will just open the chapter of Gandhi. It is in the beginning of the chapter, there is some example, and very important example the students should note it down. Gandhi has been compared with the other mass leaders like Lenin, Ho Chi Minh, as well as Mao Zedong, and it has clearly been mentioned that no other leader could mobilize the women in their movement in such a larger number as did Gandhi. So it is the basic achievement of Gandhi. Here my point is, how did Gandhi transform the national movement, and national movement became the largest mass movement in the world. So that is the achievement of Gandhi. But now we are returning to the main question, and I am just drawing your attention to my main question. We should not get diverted from our main issue. Our main issue is what could have been the nature of Indian freedom without Gandhi. As this issue is linked to the two earlier issues, so that's why I have discussed the two earlier issues. Now I am coming to the main issue. Just try to note it down. It is a very common perception that Gandhi, without Gandhi, the national movement could have been more violent. There could have been more bloodshed, as you find in case of contemporary Indonesia, Indochina, etc. Although these countries were favored by Japanese occupation in national movement, but in spite of that, before getting freedom, they needed more violent revolution. Apart from that, even the intervention by UNO. But in case of India, you will find that India could ensure its freedom with less bloodshed and without any outside support. So here we can find the achievement of Gandhi. But it is, after all, it was not a major thing. Secondly, you can say what could have been the nature of Indian freedom without Gandhi. So in politics, or you can say in humanities subject, it is very difficult to prove. But you can very well imagine that without Gandhi, even the date for Indian freedom could have been affected. Either it may have been a bit earlier, or it might have been a bit extended. In place of 1947, you can imagine 1948, 49, whatever may be. But more important thing is, what could have been the nature of Indian freedom? Here Bhim Rao Ambedkar has coined a term constitutional morality. Constitutional morality on that ground, according to Bhim Rao Ambedkar, if people are going to adopt the peaceful method and peaceful method of protest, it means that constitutional morality is being promoted. Constitutional morality means, suppose you have to put your demand. So you have to put your demand in peaceful manner and in legal manner. Bhim Rao Ambedkar always preferred this method. That's why you find, although he belongs to the group of the depressed class people who were the most oppressed class in India, but Bhim Rao Ambedkar never adopted any violent method to express his, you can say, wrath against the existing government or existing authority. Rather, he always placed his demands through constitutional method, through peaceful method. So he believes that peaceful method will always promote constitutional morality in society. So in that sense, Gandhian movement encouraged the constitutional morality in society. And in constitution making, you will just observe the Constituent Assembly. You will be surprised to know that in spite of being an assembly in the third world, India became a very rare example of a Constituent Assembly where everything was solved through discussion, and it was an open assembly. Such an open assembly and open discussion you will not find even in constitution making in Western world, which is making a claim of being a father of democracy in the world. And if India could do that, it is due to the fact that in whole national movement there was the influence of non-violence and constitutional morality was promoted. So everybody is just or every group was presenting its cause through peaceful method, not through violent method. In many countries, what do you find? Through violent method, the freedom was attained. But what was the outcome? After getting freedom, either civil war started or some sort of armed rebellion started, and the government became completely unstable, and this society, this community failed to form a democratic government in future. But in case of India, not simply democratic government, but Indian Constituent Assembly could frame a constitution which could prove its success till the last 7 decades. So this is the achievement of constitutional morality promoted by Gandhi. And last but not the least, you can say, Raj Mohan Gandhi has composed a text, I think 2 years back, that is legacy of Gandhi. So he has made this point clear in this text. Actually, it is due to this peaceful method adopted by Gandhi, democracy could survive in India. Because if this movement could have been the violent method, so it could have been a very challenge for the new government to maintain the democratic institutions in India. Because in the, you can say, in environment of violence, you cannot imagine that democracy should thrive. Here we can find an example of Pakistan. You will find a very classical example in Pakistan. What happened in Pakistan, in fact? There is, Ki Jinnah, although he was himself a secular leader, he was thoroughly westernized intellectual, but he adopted a wrong method for realizing his objective. He used religion, and particularly the violent method, for concretizing the objective of Pakistan. He promoted direct action, encouraged riots, and through violent method the Muslim League could realize its objective. Then what happened to Pakistan? Pakistan became an unstable country, a failed state. Constitution could not survive there. In 1958, it fell under the control of a military dictatorship. And right from the time, the democracy could never qualify a test in Pakistan. So that the success of India and the failure of Pakistan always will prove the success of Gandhi himself, because his legacy could leave a mark over Indian democracy, Indian constitution, and the future of Indian state. Although we are slightly sorry for the condition, Gandhi was more, you can say, stronger in course of the national movement, but he could not remain so much stronger in nation building in India, because later Nehruvian legacy and the legacy of other leaders overshadowed Gandhi, and particularly you can say the Gandhian concept of the government and the Gandhian mode of production, all were simply rejected on the basis of they are utopian, they are excessive idealistic, they are not pragmatic. But after 7 decades of Indian freedom, particularly in the era of terrorism, environmental damage, the, you can say, growing economic disparity, now we come to realize that possibly we did not do justice to the Gandhian ideology. Otherwise, our condition could have been much better. So thank you very much. I will see you in another lecture again.